Hi, my name is Ginny Erichetti, and I am going to try to narrate some of these films that my father shot. The first collection is between 1955 and 1959. I'll do my best to try to get everything straight. So the beginning of this collection starts at 210 Jackson Avenue with my two older brothers, I was not born yet, and my grandmothers walking out of the house. Arthur's first. He looks like he's about 6 years old. And then my paternal grandmother. And then Vance, who's only maybe a year and a half or two, with my mom coming down the steps. And now here comes my mom's mom, my maternal grandmother. And they're walking up the driveway at our house at 210. I don't know why Mom is having them walk up there like that, but obviously my father is filming them. The film is a little underexposed, so I can't quite tell what's going on, but Arthur is playing with his little brother. Here's my mom. That's Nanny. That was Wilhelmina McGowan. Okay, so now here is a picture of my mom. It's in color, running out of the house to greet her father, who died when she was pregnant with me. So this must have been before she was even pregnant. You can see the old car pulled up in front of the house at 210. She's very happy to see her dad, as you can tell. All right, so this next clip is of my sister. I believe it was 1956 at Pleasantville High School, which is no longer there at this particular location in Pleasantville. And she was a majorette. So my dad is attempting to film Lois as a majorette. I believe that is her, right, can't tell. There, that's her with the white scarf on her head, and she's getting her batons lit on fire now, because that's something that she could do. I always admired my sister being able to be a majorette. I was in the band, not the band front, but you can see how good she is. I wonder if anybody at Pleasantville High School would be interested in this footage. Look at their skirts and the tassels on their boots. And then my father proceeds to get some of the football game itself. Finally back to my sister and her friends. It's the band front.
It's funny how my sister and I ended up doing so many similar things in life. I was in the band, but I'm seeing how I was out on the field all the time at Mainland Regional High School. Okay, so here's a trip to New York City in 1959 with his handmade titles. I was born in January of 1959, so obviously it was after I was born because my mother does not look pregnant here. Lois was probably taking care of me, or my sister, or Lois, or my grandmother, I mean. This looks like it's at a car show. My father always loved going to car shows and continued to go to car shows in Philadelphia, but this time it's in New York City. He's with my mom, and he is with some friends, some family friends, Nelson, Amy, and Gloria, Amy, who they remain friends with for the rest of their lives. They went on the subway. A little hard to see here because of lighting, but you can see here comes a train. This obviously was taken outside the window of their hotel room. Don't know what hotel it was, but there's some big buildings. And here's a shot of the inside of their hotel room. Again, very underexposed. I can tell that's my mom, though. All right, and now there's some street scenes. Again, this was 1959. There's my mom and Gloria and Nelson Amy walking. Oh, my mom's got her fur coat on. Hotel Chesterfield. Maybe that's where they were staying. Looks like Times Square, a lot different now. Oh, there's Santa Claus. And it's a billboard, and the guy has smoke coming out of his mouth, advertising cigarettes. And that, of course, is the Empire State Building. Through the park. So I guess they took a ride through Central Park. Look at all the taxis, the old cars from the 50s. Again, Gloria, Nelson, Amy, and my mom. My mother was 41 years old here. Okay, as the title says, back home again. And I believe now we get to see me. Probably this is out of order. This was probably earlier in the year, not because it looked like they were up there in the winter. And there's Nanny again. But it still must be kind of cold outside because she has me bundled up, although Nanny doesn't have a coat on. Putting me in my carriage. But that's Lois. I just realized that's not my mom, that's Lois. And apparently she put me in the wrong way because now my mom comes out and has to change everything around. Lois was 20 years old here. And there's the man himself. You don't usually see pictures of my father, but somebody's holding the camera. Going into the garage and taking out his car, which was probably a Buick, since as long as I was alive anyway, he never drove anything but a Buick. And now here come the boys. Arthur and Vance. Vance is 5, Arthur's about 10. Heading out into the yard. And we're going to see the old, the swing set. There's Vance with a friend of his. We had a few different swing sets in that spot. And there's our dog, Major, who I do remember. And there I am, walking now with my mom, wishing I could go out and play. My father loved taking movies from the car, and I left that in because it shows a billboard of the Claridge Hotel, which later became a casino. Arthur and Vance locking the dog back up in his pen. And now this is a shot of the old playhouse. I only vaguely remember this playhouse because my father knocked it down and built a much nicer one later. Now here's my mom coming out being a model. I don't know what the occasion was, but I guess she must have gotten a new coat. Very thin there. So now here is Arthur with a friend of his, of course, playing big boy games on the swing set. That could be Butchie Ware, I'm not sure, because I know that was one of his good friends. Isn't she sweet, he says. Well, apparently I wasn't all that sweet because I was told many times how I had colic as a baby and drove my parents nuts, keeping them awake all night. I don't know exactly how old I was at this point, Hopefully I was over the colic. And now here comes some other neighborhood girls. I'm not sure who they are. But Vance looks like he's having a good time playing. This is obviously the fall because the leaves on the ground. And here we are inside. I'm in my walker. I used to refuse to walk, apparently, without the walker, but I could walk. So there's quite a few scenes of me with a walker here, and that is Nanny Virtue in the back there. There's Arthur pushing me around. I don't remember the TV ever being in that corner, but that's Vance over there watching it. Now they're pushing me back and forth again. This was part of my whole childhood, getting pushed back and forth between my two brothers. Up, back outside again. Here comes Lois with her either husband or fiance, Albert Rossetti. Not sure. They probably were married at that point. Albert being a gentleman, making sure Lois gets in the car first. You can see the railroad sign down there. There were railroad tracks that went past the house. And that big pine tree on the left, I used to climb all the time. So now we have a trip to the Clarks. The Clarks were people that they were also family friends. We used to go there quite often on a Sunday in the fall and the winter to visit. Now we're back home with the doll. That was me. This film is shot in black and white, as you can see. But it looks like it was taken the same day. I'm having a good time playing with Arthur. He's playing peekaboo with me, or really just tormenting me, one or the other. Looks more like tormenting. Vance is quietly coloring at the table. I always had the mirror in that spot between the two windows. A visit from cousins. This would be Jimmy and Wendy, who were obviously older than me. Wendy was still kind of young there. If I was a baby, she probably wasn't more than 4 or 5. Vance is pulling her around. Probably more like 4. Major again.
Arthur coming out. Oop, going back in. Here comes Vance. I love the hats. As he takes off for the swing set. Ah, that's why Arthur went back in, to get the dog. Looks like Arthur has a treat for him. Major knows if he gets in his pen, then he gets the treat. That was the older dog house. My father built a new one when we got Duke. And the end.